there is one thing that is up for no discussion, it is that October is Stephen King month. I wait all year round so that when it comes to October / spooky season, I am reading Stephen King only. So hello, for this video, I am going to talk you through all of my Stephen King books in my collection, and I feel like I have quite a few. So you are currently in one of my makeshift bookcases. I have many dotted around this house whilst we wait for our big bookcase that we are eventually one day going to get. So I'm going to look through all of these different piles scattered around the house to pick out all of my Stephen King books. I think in this particular pile, there's actually quite a lot. So let's have a look. I love this cover so much. I have quite a few of these sort of editions with this text. So I'll pick them out and then I'll talk you through them. I've got this chunky one, which is The Stand. My boyfriend is currently a little way through that one. And also picked up a couple of vintage editions from Hay. It was this little secondhand bookshop. So I picked up It and Cujo here. I love this cover. I think it's so cool. So currently we've got 4 books here. Let's see if there is any more in this pile. I think that could be it for up here. So I will take you downstairs with me now to the second, so this is where it was, a makeshift clothes and bookcase. If you have moved house, then you will know the struggles of getting furniture and how long it takes to make a house into a home is absolutely crazy. So then going into my next bookcase here, I'm sure there will be some Stephen King here. Yeah, here we go. So we've got The Green Mile, put a little pile here. What else have we got? Let's have a look. Got some down here. So we've got The Institute and Misery. And I think that is that for down here. So then we'll go to the next pile of books. So this is where I'm looking for context. We have some more books here and some more down here, but I actually don't think there's any there. So we have one last place that we can look, and that is in a box here that we have. God, it's honestly, I moved into this house in February and it's currently October and we are still dealing with boxes and loose pictures and missing furniture and all sorts, but we'll get there eventually. But in this box here, I'll set you up here, we have some more Stephen King books here. I'll get them all in a pile and then I'll talk you through them all, tell you the ones I've read, the ones I'm reading this Halloween, and then ones that will be more in the future. Got another one here. I just love Stephen King. I love his writing so much. I feel like sometimes he's seen as like not necessarily like a serious writer because he obviously focuses on horror quite a lot. I just love his writing. I think it's so fun. I think his stories are so fun. In a way, to me, they kind of read like a movie a lot of the time, which I just really love. It just feels so entertaining, and to read him in spooky season is just the coziest thing in the world to me. I love reading him. I probably should actually start reading him not just in spooky season because I do really enjoy his writing, but there's something special about waiting all year to sort of dig into his books again, decide which ones you're going to read. So I kind of like waiting all year because it makes it feel even more special. But looking at these books, I think that could potentially be all of them. I am so excited to get this bookcase made. It's been a long time coming. We just have books absolutely everywhere and we can't seem to stop buying them. So when this bookcase finally does get put in, it will be extremely welcome. So it should be great when we finally get it. But like I said, furniture is just so expensive and it just takes ages. So yeah, we'll get there one day. But they are all the Stephen King books that I can find. So I will set you up and I will talk you through them, telling you some of my favourites and some that I'm reading this year. So here is the majority of the pile. We have some over there as well, but I won't try and get those. So first of all, I guess I'll talk you through the ones I have already read. I feel like, to be honest, this year is the first year that I'm actually exclusively only reading Stephen King in spooky season. Last year I read a few of his books, then also mixed it in with some other spooky books, but I just feel like we have so many in our collection that why not just dedicate this spooky season to reading just Stephen King? Because last year I read Misery, and I feel like this is one of his most popular books. It is so good. It is so suspenseful. It is about a author who sort of gets held hostage by his biggest fan, and she will not let him leave until he writes the book that she wants him to write, and it is just so suspenseful. There is something that happens in this book that is so dark and took me by such surprise. And if you have read this book, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. But I just absolutely love this book. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time, and it is actually so scary. Some of his books talk about the paranormal and mysterious creatures, but this one is really rooted in reality, and it was just so terrifying reading about it. So I love this one. And if you haven't read it, I would highly, highly recommend. As well, last year I read this one, The Outsider. Again, I loved it. I would probably say I enjoyed Misery a little bit more, but I remember I read this one when I was away by myself on a work trip, and being by myself in the dark hotel room whilst reading it made it such a spooky experience. This is sort of like a murder mystery. There are detectives involved to find out what is happening in this town. One of the town's beloved members is sort of accused of these heinous crimes, and he is accused of being in two places at once. He has a very strong alibi, but people actually see him around the murder, and there really should be no debate that it was him. However, like I said, he has this really strong alibi because people saw him on the other side of the country at the time of the murder. So what is going on? This is a great mystery book, and I was absolutely hooked. So yeah, love this one too. So early this month, another book that I read and loved was The Mist by Stephen King. And back when I said a lot of his books read like movies sometimes, this I feel like is a perfect example. The way this book opens just feels like a scary movie. And at first I was like, how is this concept gonna be scary? But by the end of the book, I was so invested and it was so terrifying. And I believe there is a movie about this. I'd be really keen to watch it. But like it says on the book, it is about a scary mist that envelops this town. And yeah, I wasn't sure how he was going to make it so scary, but he's just so talented that he definitely does make it so scary. It's just a little short read, so I highly recommend this book. I thought it was amazing. And then on to my current read I'm currently reading is Salem's Lot, which I feel like is one of his more popular books, and I'm coming up for about halfway, and this book is terrifying. It is about vampires in this town, Salem's Lot, and it's about how all the people in this small town are affected by it, and are they going to get bitten. It's just so tense, and I'm loving it. I actually just love reading it at night time because I want to be scared in October. That is my goal. So I love reading this at night time. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens. I'm going to spend the day reading this book and try and get it finished so I can move on to some other ones as well, because I'm so excited to read some more from him. So one that I was quite keen to read this Halloween was The Green Mile by Stephen King. But some people have told me that this isn't really that spooky. It's about a man in prison accused of a crime, but I think he might have some supernatural powers. I'm not too sure, but if you have read this one, do let me know if it is scary or not. I mean, my mum told me it was scary, but then my boyfriend told me it wasn't, and I'd be more inclined to believe my boyfriend because I feel like my mum is very easily scared. So yeah, let me know if you've read this one because I'm really intrigued to read it because again, I think it's a very popular one from him. And then I feel like I'm gonna have time to read some more, but I'm just really not sure which one to pick. So it's between The Institute, and this book says, Luke Ellis, a super smart 12-year-old with an exceptional gift, is the latest in a long line of kids abducted and taken to a secret government facility hidden deep in the forest in Maine. Here, kids with special talents, telekinesis and telepathy, like Luke's new friend Kalisha, Nick and Iris, are subjected to a series of experiments. There seems to be no hope of escape until Luke teams up with an even younger boy whose powers of telepathy... Why do I feel like when I say that word, it feels weird that I'm saying it? Telepathy. Don't know. Are off the scale. So this feels very high stakes and quite scary. So it's between The Institute and then Night Shift. I'm just so drawn to this book for the cover. I just absolutely love it. And it says, welcome to a world where the familiar and friendly lure and deceive in a selection of powerful tales which will haunt you long after the last page is turned. This is the horror of ordinary people and everyday objects that become strangely altered. The settings may seem familiar: a high school, a factory, a truck stop, a laundry, a field of Nebraska corn, but in Stephen King's work, any place can serve as the devil's ground. Each of these is perfect playground for victims who are caught just slightly off guard. That one sounds so good. So I think this one is a series of short stories which would be fun. So might read this one. But then I also really wanted to read one of my vintage collections. I know that it is so popular. And then Cujo, which I had not really heard of before I picked this up, but I just love the cover so much. I would love to read it, but it is such a chunky one. And I'm thinking, will I have time to read it? But then I'm thinking, I can still read spooky books in November and December, that's okay. But I would love to read it around Halloween. And I feel this is going to be a really scary one and I want to be spooked. So I'm tempted to go with this one. Or as well, we have from a Buick 8, which again, I've not really heard of. But this one says that there is a secret hidden in Shed B in the State Police Barracks in Statler, Pennsylvania. A secret that has drawn troopers for 20 years. Terrified, yet irresistibly tempted to look at its chrome fenders, silver grille, and exotic exhaust system. Young Ned Wilcox had started coming to buy the barracks, mowing the lawn, washing the windows, shoveling snow. It's a boy's way of holding on to his father, recently killed in a strange road accident by another Buick. And one day, Ned peers through the window of Shed B and discovers the family secrets. Like his father, Ned wants answers. He deserves answers, and the secret begins to stir. God, I just love his concepts. I think he's just so good. I love Stephen King. I've watched quite a lot of his interviews and I just think he's such a talent. I really like him a lot. So we also have The Stand, which is not an option for this year because one, my boyfriend's reading it, and two, it is absolutely massive. So I think this might be one for maybe not around Halloween because I feel like it's like a post-apocalyptic book, so it could really work all year round, I feel like maybe. But I would definitely love to read this one because I feel like people who have managed to get through it absolutely love it. So I would definitely be keen to read this. So do let me know if you have read any Stephen King books and have any recommendations for me because yeah, I'm just loving reading his books at the minute and I cannot wait to read more this Halloween. So thank you so much for watching and I will see you in my next video.